The involvement of the Kremlin dictator does not play a major role in the upcoming talks on settling Russia's war against Ukraine, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland Radoslaw Sikorski has said. Regarding potential future contacts between US President Donald Trump and Putin, Sikorski expressed skepticism about holding a premature summit with the Russian Federation.
I don't want him to participate in the negotiations. I want him to get out of Ukraine. He can do it in 5 minutes. If he doesn't, he will face an international court. He has no business on the territory of another UN member state. Only in the continuation of the war he will feel significant. He was confused by the nature of the Russian regime and Putin's control over Russia. Radoslaw Sikorski, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, from a speech at a briefing in Brussels.
Ukraine's participation should remain the main principle of any peace settlement process, Radoslaw Sikorski emphasized. Ukraine is ready to move to a diplomatic path. Europe and the USA should not be at the negotiation table. The Ukrainian president said this in an interview with British journalist Piers Morgan. Volodymyr Zelensky stressed the need for stable peace, which will be ensured by strong security guarantees, with efforts already underway in cooperation with the United States.
Ukraine is ready in the first place for the end of the hot stage of the war. We want peace as nobody in the world wants, because let's be honest, Putin is a murderer and is a criminal, and that is a fact. And if people believe that we must move to the diplomatic track, and I believe that we are ready to move to the diplomatic track, and that at the negotiating table there must be the United States, Europe, Ukraine, and Russia.
Meanwhile, 10 EU countries have called for restrictions on a movement of Russian diplomats within the Schengen area in order to undermine their ability to assist the Kremlin's intelligence services. The proposal was initiated by the Czech Republic. This was reported by the Polish media. Additionally, on February 6, President Petr Pavel signed a law that prohibits the granting of Czech citizenship to Russians, even if they renounce their Russian passport. This is stated on the website of the president. The document indicates that obtaining Czech citizenship will be frozen for Russians until the end of the war against Ukraine. An exception will be made only for political refugees and children under the age of 15.
Most Russians will not be able to obtain Czech citizenship, even if they renounce their Russian passports. Their applications for Czech citizenship will be frozen until the war in Ukraine ends. A provision has been added to the Czech criminal code that prohibits unauthorized cooperation with foreign states. From a Deutsche Welle publication,
Prime Minister of the United Kingdom Keir Starmer was urged European leaders to increase economic pressure on Russia, The Guardian has reported. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is confident that this will help to end Russian aggression against Ukraine more quickly. He also pointed out that the threat of sanctions from Donald Trump has left Putin in disarray, according to British journalists. Previously, the US president said he would impose high tariffs and additional restrictions against Russia if the Kremlin dictator does not stop the war against Ukraine. Reported by Alexandra Kristina Dombrovska, UATV News.
The European Union has extended sanctions against Russia for another 6 months after Hungary dropped its objections in exchange for assurances regarding energy security.
So I welcome the ministers today agreed to extend sanctions on Russia. This will continue to deprive Putin of revenues to fund his war.
According to Kaja Kallas, the EU is planning to introduce its next 16th package of sanctions against Russia in February, ahead of the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. As reported by Bloomberg, citing a draft document from the European Commission, Brussels is considering a phased ban on importing Russian aluminium. According to Trade Data Monitor from January to November 2024, the 27 EU member states imported nearly 330,000 tons of Russian primary aluminium and alloy.
The sanctions package would allow European buyers to import 275,000 metric tons of the Russian metal under a quota system for 1 year period before a full ban comes into effect. The import volume quotas would be managed by member states and the EU's executive arm, from the Bloomberg publication.
The EU is also considering phasing out Russian liquefied natural gas. However, for now, the 27 member states are discussing a gradual reduction in purchases. According to a Kepler report published on January 28, Russian LNG shipments to the EU reached a record height of 33.6 million tons in 2024. In December 2024, 10 EU countries, including Finland, Poland and the Baltic states, urged the European Commission to impose a full ban on Russian pipeline gas and LNG imports.
Lithuania remains hopeful for the upcoming EU roadmap to completely sever all Russian energy ties. Žygimantas Vaičiūnas, Minister of Energy of Lithuania, in a commentary for Politico.
The EU's 16th sanctions package against Russia includes penalties for 74 oil tankers belonging to Russia's so-called shadow fleet. The document notes that certain exceptions will apply. The package also proposes restrictions on software and other technologies used in the Russian military's weapons systems. The measures target dozens of companies, including many firms in China, Turkey and other countries that have helped Moscow bypass existing sanctions.
We discuss what more can we do, putting pressure on Russia to end this war. It is also good that US President Donald Trump has put the pressure on Russia to say that it's in their hands to end this war.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio welcomed the EU expanded sanctions against Russia. During a phone call with EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kaja Kallas, he emphasized the importance of strengthening transatlantic security. The EU and the US are always stronger together, the EU head of diplomacy concluded. Reported by Serhiy Kulias, Christina Dombrovska, UATV News.